We are back. You're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin. Got some breaking news for you on the 2020 presidential election. The top election official in the U.S. intelligence community says two of the nation's adversaries, China and Russia, are both interfering to make sure their preferred candidate wins the White House. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez is with me now. And Evan, this official called his statement a quote-unquote election threat update. What do you know?
That's right. This is an update from Bill Evanina, who heads the efforts to thwart the work that these foreign countries are doing to undermine the U.S. elections in 2020. And for the first time, Brooke, we're hearing specifics about what these countries, in particular Russia and China, are up to with regard to the 2020 election. In general terms, they're trying to sow discord. They're trying to undermine faith in the system. But we are now hearing for the first time from Bill Evanina that the Russians are essentially trying to undermine Joe Biden's campaign, while the Chinese are trying to undermine President Trump's re-election. Let me just read you a part of what it says. He says, quote, "We assess that China prefers that President Trump, whom Beijing sees as unpredictable, does not win re-election. China has been expanding its influence efforts ahead of the November 2020 election to shape the policy environment in the United States, pressure political figures it views as opposed to China's interests." As far as Russia is concerned, he says, "We assess that Russia is using a range of measures to primarily denigrate former Vice President Biden and what it sees as an anti-Russia establishment." And this is obviously consistent with the efforts, Brooke, that the Russians were doing in 2016, trying to undermine Democrats. At that time, the intelligence community determined that the Russians were trying to help Donald Trump get re-elected. The assessment today also mentions Iran. The goal of the Iranians appears to be simply to just undermine the system, to sow discord and divide Americans ahead of the November elections, Brooke.
Russia wants him in, China wants him out. Evan Perez, thank you for those details coming in, or standing on the world stage. Thank you.
The U.S. intelligence community is warning that Russia is seeking a repeat in November of the 2016 election outcome and is actively working to denigrate Joe Biden's campaign. The director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center is also bringing China into the mix, saying that Beijing would prefer that President Trump is not reelected. The president's national security advisor says there will be consequences to any election interference by foreign adversaries.
They'd like the president to lose, and China, like Russia, like Iran, have engaged in cyber attacks and phishing and that sort of thing with respect to our election infrastructure, with respect to websites and that sort of thing. There will be severe consequences with any country that attempts to interfere with our free and fair elections, whether their leaders prefer Joe Biden or prefer Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. We're Americans. We're not going to have foreign countries deciding who our next president is going to be.
Their greatest dream in the world is that Joe Biden wins because they will own this country. China will own this country. North Korea will own this country. They will own our country. And they're all waiting to see the election. And if we have a win on November 3rd, we will have a deal with, in my opinion, Iran within 1 month. And I don't know that we want to have a deal with China, to be honest with you. So I'm saying to myself, gee, but China wants us to lose very badly. And you know who else is not happy with us winning? Russia. The phony people that tell the story, the fake news stories about Russia. It was just reported, the numbers. I raised $400 billion extra in NATO. You know that. It went from 130 to $400 billion. And that's a year. In order to strengthen up NATO. Nobody says that. We became the biggest energy exporter. We are now, if you look at what we have, we're energy independent. So many different things. Our military is stronger than it ever was. We spent $2.5 trillion on our military. I exposed the terrible deal between Germany and Russia on the pipeline. Nobody even knew about the pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Nobody knew about it. Nobody talked about it. I said, what's this all about? So we protect Germany from Russia, and Germany pays Russia billions of dollars a year for energy, and it's a big portion of Germany's energy. If I was a person that was a German citizen, I would not be happy with that deal because they're at a very big disadvantage. So, no, Russia would not be happy, and I can tell you that China would not be happy at all. And we've taken in tens of billions of dollars. There's your head of the Treasury, Steve, right? We've taken in tens of billions of dollars from China. We never took 10 cents from China, not even 10 cents. And $28 billion we gave to our farmers because they were targeted by China. They were actually targeted. And we gave $28 billion compliments of China to our great farmers and ranchers because they were unfairly targeted by China in order to make a better deal with us. I said, we're not going to do that. We're going to, instead of making a better deal, we're going to tariff you at very high numbers, 25%, 10%, and actually numbers that could go up a lot. And we had a lot of money left over after giving the $28 billion to the farmers and ranchers and some others. Frankly, we had many, many billions of dollars left over, and we're still receiving that money. Even though we made the deal, we're still receiving that money. So if we win the election, we'll have deals with a lot of countries very fast. They're just waiting to see who wins because they are hoping that Joe Biden wins, Sleepy Joe. And if he wins, you know what's going to happen? China will own us. Our markets will crash. The 401ks will go down to practically nothing. Stocks will go down to practically nothing. Remember, stocks, these big companies, they're owned by millions of people that are carpenters and policemen and farmers and lots of other people. And they are the ones that benefit by having a good stock market, probably more than anybody else. But the 401ks, the stocks, the economy will be in a shambles. They want to raise taxes. They want to triple taxes. They want to raise the corporate tax, but they want to raise all taxes. Ultimately, they can't pay for what they want to do anyway, and what they're going to do is destroy your health care and destroy so many other things. We're going to have 180 million people that are so happy with their private health care, they're going to lose it under this crazy plan that these people are proposing. So you will have a crash like you've never seen before. And I've been very good at predicting these things. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. You just mentioned President Putin and the possibility of inviting him here because he's important. Your own Director of National Intelligence has said that Russia is currently planning or actually meddling in the election. Have you raised that directly with Putin ever?
They said China, Russia, Iran, and probably others. But because of the fake news, they seem to think Russia plays the best. So what they do, it's all right. Well, I'm just saying the way the politicians look. The other day, they said the three countries, they said China and Russia and Iran, and some reporter got up and said, Russia is meddling. I said, well, didn't it mention China and Iran? Why didn't you mention them too? So I don't know. You know what I'm telling you? I'll tell you who's meddling in our elections. The Democrats are meddling by wanting and insisting on sending mail-in ballots where there's corruption all over the place. If you check what happened in New York, a small, relatively small race with Carolyn Maloney, and they called her the winner the other day because I was mentioning it at conferences and getting a lot of action on that statement. So they called her, they declared her the winner, and they have no idea who won. And the person, her opponent, is very angry. But they had mail-in voting, and they had hundreds and I think even thousands of ballots that are missing, that were fraudulent. Take a look at the Carolyn Maloney race. Take a look at Paterson, New Jersey. Take a look now at this one in Virginia, where they mailed out 500,000 applications, and they're going to people that aren't supposed to be getting an application. Yeah, please go ahead.
A lot of the Obamagate surveillance crimes that had taken place during your campaign. What are your thoughts? What is your opinion? Do you subscribe to that line of thought? How do you feel about it?
Well, look, the Obama campaign spied on our campaign, and they've been caught, all right? And now let's see what happens to them. But they have been caught. They've been caught red-handed. It's probably treason. It's a horrible thing they did. It probably never happened before. At least nobody got caught doing it. But they used the intelligence agencies of our country to spy on my campaign, and they have been caught. And there are a lot of people involved. I don't want to say how much she's involved. Frankly, if he chooses her, that's fine, but that's a potential liability. We'll see. But President Obama knew about it. Joe Biden knew about it. Comey knew about it. Brennan, Clapper, the whole group, they all knew about it. Lisa Page and her lover Strzok, they all knew about it. And we have it documented, we have it in texts, we have it in all sorts of forms. They knew about it. It was a terrible thing. Should have never happened and should never be allowed to happen again to a president. This should never happen again. This was a setup like we've never seen. I think it's the political crime of the century. And they've been caught. So let's see what happens to them all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And the president just wrapped up a press conference there in the White House briefing room that